From, yes, my other Magdalene sister in the room. Yeah, and the Kundalini. It's coming here. So the masculine is, the container, and when you feel, so I can speak into when I am with a masculine presence, even if it's just a woman who embodies more of a masculine energy, I can actually unfold. Like, my feminine feels like it's free to just move, right? If I'm with somebody who's more feminine than me, then I'm holding that. Just energetically, that's kind of how it works. They just start to balance each other out. And then that person feels free to just be fluid and move, and whatever needs to come through comes through. So it is this dance, but so the masculine is this safety, this pillar, this protector, this unchanging consciousness, like, I'm here, I've got you, I'm rooted, right? And the feminine is like chaos. She's chaos, and this helps to level the chaos, and ideally we balance and harmonize those energetics within ourselves so that we're standing in our sovereignty, and then we can just play with the opposite sex, right? Or, same sex, whatever your preference is. And then sacred feminine going into, so then that comes into the masculine, because I feel that the divine, so we've been living in a predominantly patriarchal society, a very patriarchal society for a millennia, right? So that's been very masculine driven. So we have this mentality of go, 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 get shit done. My productivity measures my worth and my value, and that burns us to the ground, especially women, because we're going against our natural rhythm, we're going against our cycle, the cycle that I was just explaining the different seasons of. We're just like plowing through, right? And that dilutes our magic, like, completely. And so and this is for women coming back to the organic, coming back to the natural world, coming back to our natural cycles. For men, it's learning to really tap into here, right? It's like there's so much brain, there's so much mind shit. We're just going from our head. It's like, what logical step do we take next? And for men, I know that it hasn't felt safe to actually feel these feelings, to express these feelings, to be vulnerable, especially if you've had the idea that you're supposed to hold it down all the time, right? You're supposed to, because this goes back to masculine and feminine, you're supposed to be the rock all the time. This is where ideally, with the Divine Feminine Awakening, women are working on their inner masculine as well, because men need to be able to be, leaning on us too. We need to be able to hold our men as they shed the programming, as they go deeper into their heart, as they feel their feelings, right? I feel like the way we're going to heal this planet is by allowing ourselves to feel. The feeling is the healing, and it's the thing that we're all running from the most, is actually being there with those feelings that are coming up, because a lot of them aren't just ours. They're our parents and their parents' parents, right? This is like generational, we're transitional characters. We're here to break these patterns. The only way we can break the patterns is if we go into them and really feel them wholeheartedly. We have to feel them with every ounce of ourselves, and that's terrifying, right? So for men, I feel, who was I talking to earlier that's here about the coming into divine feminine energy? Are you here? Were we talking about it? Love? Yeah? Can we talk? Just the energy of love. It's coming into love, right? And I feel that really takes a lot of strength for a man to be able to embody love and to really let his guard down, right? I think that takes strength. That takes true masculinity to really be able to show your heart, to reveal yourself, especially to the feminine. We want to see your heart. I mean, I feel that at the core, that's what we all just want to be love. We all want to be loved. We all want to be loved. We want to share love, right? Everything else is just a show. It's just a game. It's not real. So Marianne Williamson says, everything that is not love is a mass hallucination. So we're in this room to remember that, to return to love. And there's an old Sioux saying that the longest journey we'll ever take is the 18 inches from head to heart. And like, you can hear that and intellectualize that, but then once you actually start to experience it and drop in, I mean, life is just so real. It's so raw, right? Like, we're here, we're in it, and this to me is what Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene were here to teach. Not just through preaching it, but through helping people actually get there and embody it, peel back the layers, heal the trauma, heal the wounds that keep us from the heart. And you look at the mass media and our culture and our society and all of the propaganda and the consumerism, like all of it is distracting us from our truth, from ourselves, from our love, from connecting. Even with COVID and everything, like everything's just been like we're just being more and more separated, right? And that's continuing to play off of this deep-seated fear of being separate from each other. We all feel so alone in our journey, right? And we are alone in our journey, but we're all alone in it together, and we're all made of the same stuff. We're all made of the same consciousness. So to me, the divine feminine awakening is really awakening to our humanity, to our hearts, opening ourselves to being vulnerable with each other. Like even me being up here talking about this, when I had this heart awakening, I had no idea this was going to be happening. Like that I would be up here talking about the divine feminine with, yeah, hi.
So how do you get there? Because for me, myself, I know I have a lot of masculine because I'm a single mom and I'm a strong person, but it feels very vulnerable to trust my feelings with someone as a male or anyone. A lot of people, you're right, regarded. And what are the steps? I know that's where I want to go, but it's really scary to be vulnerable like that.
Yeah. Aw, thank you for asking me that. Well, the thing that's coming through is like first being extremely vulnerable with yourself and like really feeling into your edges, right, with your own humanity and your own existence. And this is why I love these archetypes, because it's like, coming deeper into your own embodiment. Because I feel a lot of us are extremely disembodied. Like with my awakening, what I realized, I was like operating out here and fully in here, so I wasn't in here. And that's why I didn't feel safe with anybody. Yeah. I wasn't in my body. I didn't feel safe in my body. So I feel the first step to that is starting to come into your own embodiment, which is its own practice. Like, that's its own journey.
Is that the Google search?
No, you talk to me later.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, we can actually talk about this right now. So, like, there's different ways to come into your body, and it's unique to each person, right? This also goes back to the divine witch of really working with your intuition and starting to trust yourself with your intuition. Yes.
We're following our intuition because
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I'm not the plant.
Did she say you're not a what?
A plant.
Oh. Yeah. So coming into, this is what I teach women is feminine embodiment, and I'm really feeling a call to start working with the masculine as well, because I feel that this is going to heal the planet. But
that's interesting because I don't know if it's my generation or something, but it's like I keep thinking I'm looking for someone to take care of me. You know what I mean? Because you just want to relax sometimes and not have to do all the work, but then I forget that they're not always that strong person, and they have the same things going on. They have feelings and it's hard to connect. So.
How many kids do you have? 2 boys?
I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel a big influence that you'll.
I'm really glad I had boys. I don't know that I could emotionally support a girl because I don't think I'm emotionally supported.
That's beautiful that you have that awareness.
Then I have a granddaughter, but she teaches me so much. She's just so smart in her own little crazy way. She's not little. She's gonna be well, but I try to help her, through what I've gone through and let her make her own choices and stuff like that. But yeah, I see the stuff in her and I can help. And it's true. It's the whole world. We're all connected. And it's so important that we all understand and accept each other and help each other.
Right, but where does that start?
Yeah.
Well,
with everyone.
But that's doing that inner work, right? That responsibility. So it's like descending into deeper layers of you and learning.
That's scary.
I know, this is where I come in.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but you know, because it's helpful to have that space, just like you were saying, having that space being held, right? So someone who's maybe gone through this process to hold that space for you, because it can be really scary. But this is where I was talking about going to the earth too, because I think a lot of us forget that we literally have the mother and the source right there. Like that, it makes a huge difference for me. I was living in the Bay Area for 3 months and I didn't have like direct sunshine and earth, grass, and I never again. I'll never do that again. So you have to have sun and the earth. Like we're literally given all that we need, right? So really plugging what's coming through for you is like coming back to the roots and getting really naked and raw with your soul and yourself. Literally get naked. You know, put your feet on the earth to do it. Like just and then explore like what's there and where
You
you
need to find a safe environment for
Yeah.
that. And I was just thinking I need to go on like a retreat weekend.
I'll be hosting a retreat this year.
Oh,
So
we're not
yeah.
See, that's intuition.
You see?
I'm in the right place.
Yeah, well, you have all the answers. I'm just a mirror.
But
So,
it helps.
yeah.
It helps to have someone along with you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're supportive. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. He had his hand on the yeah.
I just feel like I want to say something about when you said the gateway. Like you said, how do I access this place when it's like older armor, like we feel in so many of us? And I think the one gateway is to be vulnerable with that fact. So next time you are with a man and you say, you know, I'm pretty vulnerable because like you say, it's difficult for me to be vulnerable. So I guess that is an access point that brings in the light. And then that whole thing of being taken care of, because men really just wants to serve. So when you're opening up to say, you know, I'm not this perfect, vulnerable being, I don't know how to do this, you know, this is not my rodeo. But when you say that to a man, what he feels is, oh my God, I need to hold this woman. I need to serve this woman. I want to love her. So this whole dream of being taken care of can happen for you, but you have to go out of the shell and say, listen, I suck at this. Many years ago, I had a lecture, and there was a woman that came up. She was very angry with me, and she said, you know, I'm so angry with you because you're talking about the vulnerability and the power of vulnerability, and we all need to be on our vulnerability. Fuck you, you know. It was back in those days when being brown had to make a big thing out of it. Now it's like on a TED Talk. And then I said to her, well, start being vulnerable with the fact that you suck at it. And you know, her whole face softened because she looked like she was always like, she looked like she was raising like her out the dojo. And after that, she looked much more softer. Because I was just like, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect with this. Just acknowledge the fact that you suck at it. When the guy feels that, he feels that authenticity. Men really just wants to give. That's the reality. Every single man, even the fucked up dudes, he's a man who wants to give.
This is the sacred bitch. Okay. I do appreciate when the masculine can come in, because I know I can come in and I'm like, oh, the divine feminine, but like we need men to be able to show their truth too. And what I've experienced is, yeah, when you reveal your heart to a man, like your true heart, right? Because a lot of the times, especially if we're operating from our masculine, we've got this shield and this guard up. And so then the masculine can't actually see us. They're just seeing a shell of us. So when we can start to soften and open, but we need to feel safe with that man. That is a huge piece. And as women, when we're tuning deeper into our own embodiment, we can feel when a man's energy feels safe to us. Right? So this is also where the masculine starts to work on that level of vulnerability within himself. Because if he doesn't have that vulnerability within himself, and he hasn't met himself to that degree, he can't even have the capacity to hold that for you. So as a woman, it's really important to tune into your intuition and know if he can actually hold that space for you. Because if you say something like this to the wrong man, it might not actually go that well. So, yeah, but I love what you're saying. It's a beautiful piece. Men want to serve. Men want to serve. They want to hold that space. I really do feel that to be true. And at the same time, it's important when you're doing this work, especially if this is like very new for you, to, you wanna really feel the field, make sure that you feel very safe with this person. And a lot of the times, the men that I meet that I feel the safest with have been doing this work. They've been doing, you can feel it. I can sense the energy from a mile away. And that's also a part of it. You come more into your own embodiment, you start to feel this like attunement with the people around you, the energies around you. And if somebody hasn't really been doing that work, then you'll start to notice they'll gravitate toward you because you have answers and medicine for them that you've cultivated through your own embodiment, right? And then that's how we all start to help each other. That's literally why when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. It's like we wear a neon sign on our forehead, and the right people just know to come to us at the right time. Like I'm working at this little magic crystal shop right now, and the other day this sweet, beautiful young woman came in, and she just knew to come right to me, and she broke down just crying, and I was like, she was going through a spiritual awakening. And she knew to walk into that store at that time. And I was able to help her and give her all the crystals and candles and everything. I don't even know how I got this job, but it's cool. I just follow the breadcrumbs. I'm actually going to be doing healing sessions and stuff there soon too, which is super cool. But anyways, and that's part of the divine witch, right? It took me a long time to be able to own that I'm a witch, and then I have, that I'm a mystic. I can say mystic. I'm a mystic, okay? I spend most of my time connected in this energy. Like I don't go out, this might sound weird, I don't go out into the world too much. I'm starting to weave myself back into the world. But through the COVID experience, I went through my own little initiation where I really had to be alone for a lot of it. And with what I call the goddess. Yeah, did that answer?
Yes.
Okay.
More than.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Does anyone else have anything they want to?
Yeah, as a strong man, I was raised not to express emotions, and love was like weakness. But now I found out that it's actually the greatest strength. And we have a duty and power or an obligation to wield it as strong men, especially.
Yeah.
So,
how do you feel you're obligated to wield that? What is your?
just self-love, love for others, forgiveness, compassion. And tears aren't weakness, they're strength. And allow myself to feel it.
Yeah, the deeper you go into those feelings, the more gold you extract and the more compassion you're able to hold for other people. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, it actually piggybacks on what you
Oh,
said.
perfect.
Because I was associating the bitch wound with emotional expression, because I feel like anytime a woman's not completely calm and at peace, there's any other emotion being expressed, then it's bitch, bitchy, or angry, pissed, agitated. And I live with men, and they don't understand a lot of differences. I can't always stop and verbalize, actually I'm not angry at all, I'm confused. Actually I'm not angry at all, I'm sad. Actually I'm not angry at all, I'm frustrated. It's a different feeling, but they don't interpret it that way. And then also it's I don't know, you don't want to suppress, or you don't want to just be the bitch or whatever, but I also am yeah, and I've had different conversations and definitions in my head, spiritual people don't get agitated. That is not true.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge myth to dispel right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't let anything agitate you.
No, I was agitated this morning.
Right.
It's working with the agitation. It's working with the anger, working with the sadness.
Yeah, I'm working more on embracing the humanity as well as the spirituality. But I mean, just expressing it or verbalizing or communicating it to others, or this emotional energy and the varying expressions of it, and then I didn't even relate it to the bitchiness until you said it.
Well, that's why a lot of women, will succumb to being submissive or docile, or not actually even that's why a lot of women aren't actually embodied in their truth, right? Because we're scared that if we do, and if we fully express ourselves, that we're going to be seen as a bitch or crazy or whatever. So this is part of the rewilding and the wild woman, right? Who's heard of the archetype of the wild woman? Okay, yeah. So it's getting really wild and learning that all of these expressions of the feminine, all of these expressions of self are welcome, right? But it's exploring that in a safe container. This is where sisterhood comes in. Have you been held in a safe sisterhood yet? Have been a part of like a sisterhood where you
Yeah.
feel like you can express and emote? Yeah? And does that ever translate when you're around these men, like into your ability to express what you're feeling to them?
I mean, I feel like with my husband, he like wants me to be happy like at all times, and it's just not, feasible. Like I'm just like that's not real.
You try to do that? You try to be
I mean, I
happy?
think in the past I would, or I just would, like I would go to the sisters instead of him because it, like, yeah, feel more safe or whatever. Like, and again, because he's trying to handle, whatever the structure of our household, so it's like I don't want to put another thing on him, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and that's an important piece too, right? And men do have a lot that falls on their shoulders, and they do feel like they have a lot to uphold, and a lot of, when the feminine is happy and in her radiance and feeling good, right? This is also where pleasure, prioritizing your pleasure. Do you prioritize your pleasure?
Yeah, as much as I can.
Yeah, this is a huge piece that I teach women is the prioritization of pleasure. Because when you're in your pleasure, even when you're like, when you're with your, first of all, it's extremely nourishing for your nervous system and for his nervous system. That's why a lot of men want to see women in their happy giddiness, right? Because it's nourishing for their nervous system, and a lot of them have frazzled nervous systems. So they're like, oh, my feminine. Right, but it's learning the nuances of polarity, and it's like if he's not really in this work, maybe because I'm always like, okay, how can I bring it to you in a way where you can like communicate it to him in a way that he can receive it at wherever he's at mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I find I'm usually able to verbalize it after the fact, like explain it, but then I'm just like, why don't you intuitively know that
They
I'm not
don't.
angry?
Well, we can't. Yeah. That's another thing. No, we can't do that to them because they don't have the capacity
Yeah, my board.
that we do. Like that's an attunement thing that has to be worked on because a lot of women were like, okay, we don't realize this if we look at Alison Armstrong's studies. She studies male and female psychology for like the last 20 years. A lot of women don't realize that we are looking to our men to be like our girlfriends. Like we're looking at them as our hairy girlfriends, right? And men are looking at women as like they're less hairy guys, buds, right? Like, why won't you go hiking with me? Why won't you do this? And she's like, why won't you emotionally process with me? And it's like, we're like different species. So this is where the sisterhood and the brotherhood come in, yeah, because the brothers get to hold each other in their masculinity, but also get to hold space for each other to be vulnerable, right? We're seeing a big rise of like sacred sons. Sacred Sons is like a big brotherhood that's growing for men to really go into this work and really hold space for the feminine and really hold space for the mother earth, for the mother of their children, right? To be responsible for their energy and the way they're showing up for their women. And then women, that's why we have our sisterhoods, so that we can be in this energy with each other, so that we can nourish each other in this way that like we just can't always get from the masculine. We want them to be super attuned to us. We want them to just pick up on our cues and read our minds, right? But most of the time it doesn't really work like that. But what I've noticed is when you start to, instead of verbalizing the feelings, once a man can see, like feel you in your feelings, then he can start to soften and attune to you more. He also has